Hi, so this is the second part of the video about birth and the microbiome. If you haven't yet watched the first part, please refer back to that because otherwise none of this will make sense. So we will carry on straight where we left off, which was we were talking about how both kinds of C-section, emergency or elective, affect the natural birth process. If we interfere with the natural birth process, we are essentially altering the baby's microbiome and the baby's immune training and lifelong microbial health, which leaves the baby at risk of not having optimal health in the long run. And we know now that there is a huge connection between babies who have had C-sections and conditions like asthma and eczema. Now, what's really interesting, and I find this subject just fascinating, is epigenetics, and I find it so fascinating that I'll probably do another video about it at some point. But epigenetics is basically the modifications in gene expression based on our lifestyle choices. And what this means here, what scientists are beginning to think, that by interfering with the natural birth process, we are actually switching on or off certain genes. So conditions that babies may have been genetically predisposed to, because we are all genetically predisposed to certain illnesses and diseases, have more of a chance of being triggered if they are born by C-section than if they are born by a vaginal birth, which is simply fascinating. It shows you how much the microbiome play a part in the long-term health and immunity of the baby. So, okay, we know all of this, but some people have had to have cesareans for whatever reason. So what can we do about all of this? There are things we can do, which is great, because sometimes these C-sections are unavoidable. So, first of all, in pregnancy, it's keeping as healthy as possible. So eating really, really healthy foods, loads and loads of vegetables, a plethora of rainbow colour vegetables, purified water, and gut-friendly foods. So probiotics and gut-friendly foods like kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, fermented foods that are essentially probiotics for the gut. If you eat meat, things like bone broths are really, really healthy for the last trimester of pregnancy. Exercise, also really important. I was, exercising pretty much 3-4 times a week, doing Pilates, blah, blah, blah. I hit the 3rd trimester and I just hit a wall and I just became exhausted. The weather got really hot and I just can't do it at the moment. I'm just huge and I'm hot. So I'm practicing my yoga at home every morning, and I'm trying to go for as many walks as possible, but that is it for me. But that's fine. Like, we have to have some amount of exercise and our bodies will be helpful for that. And also obviously really concentrating on our posture and pelvic positioning, so just making sure that our bodies are kind of in the optimal state for childbirth. So we've got exercise, food, probiotics, avoiding unnecessary antibiotics. Now, we know recently, even the NHS have come out with all these advertisements saying how we shouldn't be taking antibiotics unnecessarily, and they are kind of ruining our immune systems and our tolerance to antibiotics. So in pregnancy, this is really important, because I feel that, as we spoke about informed choice in the first part of the video, informed choice has to come from a place of knowledge on both parts. And a lot of the healthcare professionals unfortunately don't have the knowledge themselves. They don't know how much antibiotics are affecting the baby's microbiome. They actually don't know much about the microbiome. So we have to know this stuff ourselves, and we really have to be proactive in our approach to healthcare and really kind of take our healthcare into our own hands where possible. I tend to suffer from UTIs, urinary tract infections, in my pregnancies. And in my first pregnancy, I did end up on antibiotics, and I really, really regret it. I've had a couple of mild UTIs in this pregnancy, and thankfully I kind of knew other ways around it, and I worked with my homeopath and my naturopath, and I've avoided all antibiotics. But what saddens me is that if I didn't do that, and if I didn't kind of have an alternative way of healthcare, I probably would have been on 3 sets of antibiotics in this pregnancy. And antibiotics have a devastating effect on the mother's microbiome and subsequently on the baby's microbiome. So avoiding antibiotics where necessary is essential. Also, avoiding antibacterial products. We've got kind of obsessed in this modern day with antibacterial this, antibacterial hand wipes and hand wash and gel. We need to be a bit dirty, really, because that is how the immune system grows and that's how it thrives. So they're also saying that, you know, exposure to pets and exposure to animals in pregnancy, especially in the 3rd trimester, is really, really beneficial to the microbiome and to the immune system. So those are some things we can do. Now, the last thing is called swab seeding. Really new information, and it could probably be quite controversial, but basically if you know you're going to have a cesarean, you take a tampon-like thing, you insert it into the vagina before you're going to give birth, and then you put it in a sterile container until after the baby's born, and then you basically swab the baby with it. When the baby is coming out naturally, the microbes are kind of smushed into the baby's hair and eyes and skin and mouth and everything. So we kind of try to do this with the swab seeding. And there is some very new research to show that this actually helps with the baby's initial seeding. So this could be an option. The good thing to note is that there are options. If you do have to have a cesarean, you aren't left with this doom and gloom. There are kind of ways that you can help to grow your baby's microbiome and help the seeding process along. Obviously, I will stress that breastfeeding is the best and safest way of making sure that your baby's immune system grows and gets everything it needs in order to kind of set the tone for the immune system and keep it strong. There unfortunately is no formula on earth that could possibly replicate everything that is in breast milk, you know, the oligosaccharides that feed the microbes. So, you know, where you can, please try and breastfeed, especially if you are having a cesarean. And then obviously immediate uninterrupted skin on skin. That is super, super important. I'm going to leave it there because it's quite a long video and it is in 2 parts, and I really hope that you all didn't get bored watching it, but thank you for watching it. I really hope you enjoyed it and that this has given you some new information or something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave some comments. You know, did this get you thinking? Did you have to have a cesarean? What did this make you think about that? Or were you planning an elective C-section maybe, and maybe this has made you rethink that? Please let me know all your thoughts, get in touch. And I also want to dedicate this to Tony Harmon, because I forgot to say this at the beginning, who created the film Microbirth, which is where I started getting really interested in all this. So I highly recommend watching Microbirth. And I hope to make another video soon, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Bye!